Every second person has to survive on less than $8 a day adjusted for purchasing power. In other words, if they were living in the US on $8 a day. These 4 billion people together own only about 1% of the world's wealth, while the richest 1% own almost 50% of it. So the question is, what can we do about it? One of my suggestions is humanistic entrepreneurship. Someone has a business idea, a dream, and hopefully for an intelligent, in other words, beneficial product, and tries at first goal to earn enough money to pay all employees the minimum wage, which is approximately 80% of the national median wage. Until that point, everyone in the company receives the same wage. From this point on, additional profits are divided by two. 50% can be used for investments or wage increases, with a maximum wage of approximately 4 times the minimum wage in richer countries, slightly more in poorer countries. I believe that the humane income is acceptable within this framework, as long as there are people living in severe poverty. The remaining 50% of profits after taxes are used to make microdonations as startup capital to people living in poverty who present an intelligent business idea and promise that they too would like to operate according to this model. We would therefore search for business ideas from people living in poverty that promote well-being and give them startup capital in the hope that some of these dreams will become financially independent, allowing more startup capital to be given away in the next round, and so on, with the aim of creating a humanistic economic network. In this way, we will force companies that do not have ethical standards out of the competition. Our understanding of development aid will also be a new one. At present, many still believe that we should not distribute fish to financially disadvantaged people, but rather teach them how to fish. However, this is often arrogant, because do we really know how to fish? I believe that there are many financially poor people out there who are much better at fishing, in other words, doing business, than I am, but they lack the fishing rod of their choice, the startup capital, which is why we should give it to them so that they can develop their entrepreneurial talent for the benefit of us all. The self-image of entrepreneurs will also be a new one. Humanistic entrepreneurs have recognized that microdonations yield more dividends in the form of happiness than most of their shares. They are therefore becoming increasingly modest in terms of their required wealth, but all the more ambitious in ethical terms. If they still compete with their entrepreneur friends at all, it is no longer about who owns the bigger airplane, but who has generated more microdonations, or who sells the more intelligent, more beneficial product. And they will consider all people as their extended family, which is why they try to choose their supply chains in such a way that even those employees work under fair conditions. That's my idea, but what do you think? Your feedback would be very welcome. Am I being naive, or would you like to help? We would need to define meaningful parameters for the humanistic business model, help spread the idea, convince existing companies to donate at least part of their profits as startup capital, encourage financially disadvantaged people to share their dreams with us, or try to start a humanistic business ourselves. There would be a lot to do. Thanks.